Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what part of the world you're joining us from. My name is Michael Ward. I'm the EVP of Strategic Partnerships for the SSL Store. I'm here with my colleague, Kevin Johnson, who's the Channel Manager for the SSL Store. We welcome you to our first webinar entitled Encryption is Coming. We're excited that you joined us. We set the stage for about 20 minutes for this presentation with 10 minutes of Q&A. And we apologize that we had to postpone it for a week, but incidentally, there's been a new update in the industry from last week. So it goes to show you that the industry is moving fast, and by waiting a week, we have a new update to share with you. Just to let everybody know, this webinar is being recorded and will be available for future viewing down the road. So, why are we all here today? There's four things that we want to review with you. One, we want to give you just a current snapshot of the industry, what it looks like today. Two, talk about where the industry is heading, primarily through the browser community that's pushing for initiatives for more encryption. Three, we'll talk about the future of HTTPS and how the browser initiative, what it means for the future of HTTPS as far as what they're pushing for. And then four, we'll go over the market opportunity and what it means for our existing partners who are on the call, as well as any future partners who are on the call. So with that in mind, just a snapshot of the industry. These stats are all provided by Netcraft. As of June of 2016, there were 5.33 million third-party certs globally. This represents a 10% growth from May of 2016. Now, the interesting thing with this stat is this is the largest month-to-month growth that the industry has ever seen. So, a lot of opportunity, a lot of growth taking place. Of these certs, 76% are DB. This is up from the same time period last year. 21% are OB, which is a little bit down from the same time period last year. And 3% are EV, which is pretty flat, pretty consistent from the same time period last year. If we look at the top 1 million busiest sites, the breakdown is 47% are DB, 37% are OB, and 16% are EV. Now, this this makes sense when you consider the top million busiest sites are high-profile sites, Facebook, Bank of America, Google, you name it, and they're typically going to display a higher-end search such as an OB or an EV. Again, stats from Netcraft. If you look at the market share of the top million sites, you'll start on the left, you'll notice that the Symantec family of brands, including Symantec, GeoTrust, SOC, RapidSSL, and Komodo, they have the two largest market share percentage. Combined, it's almost 60%, which is great news if you're a partner of ours, because those are the brands that we currently carry. And that means that you're in good shape in terms of having those brands available to your customers. If you go down, you look to the right, you'll see that Let's Encrypt has made some headway. This chart's a little bit outdated. They're currently the fourth largest provider of the top million sites, so a little bit outdated, but still, they're definitely on the board. As far as the market landscape goes, some of you may know this, you may not, but currently only 3% of web servers are encrypted today. Now, it used to be the SSL and TLS was viewed as only necessary for e-commerce sites or sites that collected user information. But the reality is the times are changing, and the browser community is pushing for HTTPS as the standard. So, for those of you who are Game of Thrones fans, you will get the reference, but encryption is coming, and it's actually coming fairly fast. So if we take a look at what's influencing total encryption, we have here just a little chart at a high level that discusses or touches on various touch points and various initiatives that are pushing for total encryption. So the big one is the browser community is pushing for HTTPS as a standard. Google is giving additional rankings, boosts to secure sites. Obviously, Let's Encrypt is gaining some popularity. Browsers display warnings when visiting a non-secure site, and browsers mandating HTTP use with encryption. And we'll go ahead and get into specific examples of what this actually means. So if we take a look at the first example, browsers warning users of non-HTTPS connections. So this is an update that actually happened within the past week. Chrome, specifically Chrome 53, is alerting users when visiting a non-secure site. So again, this has happened within the past week. And in the first example, this is live today. I'm using NewYorkTimes.com as an example. You'll notice to the left of the URL a gray circle with an I in it. And when you click on that, it actually gives you details, and it lets the user know that this page is non-secure. So this is a default, this is live, this is in place today with Chrome 53. So if you haven't updated Chrome 53, go ahead and do that, take a look, and you'll see what I mean. It also gives you the option to change this setting depending on user preference. So in the second example, I've actually gone into Chrome //flag. I've selected mark non-secure origins as non-secure, and you'll see that in that second illustration there's actually a red triangle with an exclamation point in it, and again, when the user clicks on it, it says this page is insecure, broken HTTPS. So this is live today. It's important to note that users are going to start seeing this in a Chrome environment. Now, Chrome's not the only browser that's mandating or supporting total encryption. Mozilla announced plans in April 2015 to phase out non-secure HTTP. What this means is that they're making new features available only to secure websites and phase out existing features for non-secure websites. So that's just one initiative. Another initiative is Google ranking. So essentially, the HTTPS used to be a small factor in SEO ranking, but in 2014, Google began using HTTPS as a ranking signal. So what we're seeing now is as much as a 5% higher search visibility when using HTTPS versus HTTP. And in this little graphic to the right there, you'll see a red line going up and down that says when they actually pushed this HTTPS as a ranking signal in April 2014, and then to the right, the gray area goes up, which actually supports that 5% higher search visibility. And just another touch point on Google ranking and refer data. It's always preserved with HTTPS, providing greater keyword analytics. So, the website operator, HTTP website operators, where did this guy come from? The source is saying, sorry, I can't tell you because you're not using HTTPS. And that, again, that's already in place today. Another thing that's in place today is Google Gmail is alerting recipients when they're receiving email from a non-secure server. So on the left-hand side here, you'll see an example of SurveyMonkey sending an email with no encryption. And Gmail is alerting us by this red broken padlock, as well as the encryption saying none, and then you could learn more about what this means. And then on the right-hand side, that's an email where there actually is encryption being used. And just another touch point from Netcraft. 82% of mail servers don't have a publicly trusted SSL cert yet. So again, lots of opportunities. One other touch point or example, so HTTP2, you've probably heard of this. It was ratified by the IETF Internet Engineering Task Force earlier this year. It's basically the first major update to the HTTP protocol in 16 years. Now, there are a lot of benefits, but just at a very high level, a couple benefits include 20 to 30% decrease in page load time, and applications are likely experiencing improvements over secure connections. So, the current status is that currently only 18% of global traffic is only HTTP2 or over HTTP2. This will obviously increase over the coming months and years. Support is available in all major browsers, but the takeaway from this really is that major browsers supporting HTTP2 with mandatory encryption. And then finally, just specific to the mobile community, specifically with Chrome, these features are only available over HTTPS. So geolocation, device motion orientation, and get user media, these features will not work in Chrome when using your mobile device unless the user or the website has HTTPS. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Kevin Johnson, who will talk about the future of HTTPS and what it means for you.
All right, thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. So Michael just went over the various industry initiatives that are pushing every site to encrypt. And by every site, I mean the current 96 to 97% of websites that don't deploy encryption. So again, what does this mean for us as web service providers? Where does that put us? What does the future look like as far as SSL is concerned? And well, obviously, we think that HTTPS will be the new standard. And it's not just us that think that. It's the browser community that wants that. So knowing this, I think we all need to take a step back and kind of ask ourselves, well, that's great, but what does HTTPS really mean? Do we as companies understand it? Have we done an effective job at communicating this with our customers? Does HTTPS mean that a website is safe and secure? Does it mean that we know who the site claims to be? Does it mean that we can trust the website? Does it mean the site is free from malware? Does it mean the site doesn't have any vulnerabilities? Does it mean that the site is patched and up to date? I mean, what exactly does HTTPS mean? Well, the answer is actually none of those things. HTTPS really only means that someone has control of the domain and that all data being sent to that web server is encrypted, right? So now let's go back and take a look at, well, how do we activate HTTPS? What are the various mechanisms of doing this? Well, we'll start with domain validated certificates or DV certificates. And I know that some of this might be repeat information for some of you, but it's important to paint the total SSL picture. And we all know that DV certificates are everybody's favorite, right? They activate HTTPS, as we just discussed. They enable that padlock icon. They do offer industry standard encryption. Again, it's important to note that pretty much every certificate from your free basic DV certificate to the most premium certificate, most expensive certificate out there offer the same level of encryption. And they are issued very quickly at a very low cost. As most of us know, a DV certificate usually just takes a simple email in order to be issued out. They just verify that whoever owns the domain, or they just verify that whoever's receiving the certificate owns the domain they wish to cover. And really, we understand that these are an excellent solution for a vast majority of that 97% of websites that are currently unencrypted because of this quick issuance and because of this low cost and in some cases completely free cost, as we're seeing with the Let's Encrypt and Cloudflares of the world. But there's another side to DV certificates. This quick issuance process makes them easy to get not just by legitimate customers, but by cyber criminals as well. We are seeing an increase in phishing websites taking advantage of the fact that there are very few barriers in order to enable basic DV encryption on their websites. And here are a couple of examples of sites that have had DV certificates issued to them. They're not live anymore. They've since been revoked, but these were live with HTTPS recently. And as we can see, phishers are getting very adept at creating lookalike domains to trick your average web user. More savvy web users like ourselves, of course, probably wouldn't fall for something like this, but you can see how eBay with a Cyrillic B, iTunes with an L instead of I, PayPal missing an A, those domain names with HTTPS and the padlock icon activated next to them can look pretty legitimate and trick a user into thinking these sites are safe and secure because they don't fully understand that all HTTPS means is that, hey, someone's controlling that domain and you're sending encrypted information somewhere. And again, this is just to illustrate the fact that phishing websites are taking advantage of DB certificates in order to trick customers into giving them their information. So that brings us to the more premium solutions like OV and EV certificates. And we all know that these offer both halves of the SSL equation. And by the SSL equation, I mean that every certificate can offer two things. The first of which is encryption, which now we all know is the same across the board. But the second half, of equal importance, especially to a business, would be the trust that a certificate can bring to your site, identifying who is the person or the company or the organization behind a website. And this is where OV and EV certificates really excel. And your customers should know that there is an opportunity to add trust to their website through SSL certificates. This is done in a variety of ways, obviously by dynamic site seals that display verified real-time company information that's been vetted by a third-party security company. Specifically when it comes to semantic, those come with the Norton check mark, which is widely viewed as the most popular and trusted symbol on the internet. And then obviously for your EV options, the registered company name will be displayed next to the URL in green or within a green address bar, depending on the browser. So, what does this mean for us in this marketplace? What's the opportunity here? Well, we think in an HTTPS everywhere world, which the browser community is pushing towards, the demand for premium OV and EV certificates will increase. We're already seeing this within the top 1 million busiest sites, as Michael pointed out earlier, where more than 50% of those currently today are opting for more premium OV or EV certificates. And that's because they're looking for more ways to assure their web traffic of the identity of who's behind this website in order for them to stand out from even sites that just deploy basic HTTPS. The onus really is on us as web service providers to educate our customer base on the two functions of SSL. Yes, SSL certificates offer encryption, and that's an extremely important function, but they can also offer trust, or they can identify the organization behind a website. And really, this is a very appealing option to all of your business clients that want to add trust to their site, whether they're an e-commerce website looking to increase their conversions, whether they're an organization that wants to align their site with the top 1 million busiest ones out there. Again, customers that visit PayPal, that visit Twitter, that visit Bank of America or Apple, they're used to seeing a registered company name up there in the URL. These are the most widely visited sites in the world. So it's an opportunity for a business to quickly align themselves with these very trusted brands. And again, we envision a world where as HTTPS becomes more the standard, but as phishing sites continue to rise and take advantage of basic certificates, the web customers are only going to get more savvy and are only going to find more ways to assure themselves that they're dealing with a legitimate website. So we brought out our crystal ball, we knocked our heads together, and we've got a few predictions for you that we're pretty confident in as far as what the landscape's going to look like over the next 12 months. The first one of which is, this is not a shocker to anybody, but we think certificate usage will continue to grow, but at an extremely rapid rate, to the point where we're predicting 8 million certs, third-party certs, 12 months from now, up from 5.33 now. I actually personally think that will be a little higher, but that's our conservative prediction, which is tremendous growth. So it is a very exciting time to be in the SSL space. But obviously with this growth, we're going to see phishing sites continue to pop up left and right, especially ones that are using these, quick issuance DB certificates as well. But Chrome will continue to be on the cutting edge as far as encouraging all websites to deploy encryption. They have a multi-pronged plan to continue to encourage every site from a blog to a template site, obviously to the standard e-commerce business sites, etc., to deploy SSL encryption. And this is they're only going to keep pushing for this, as they want every site they return in their searches to be encrypted. And really, it presents a tremendous opportunity. This is something that Michael mentioned over and over again, opportunity. It really is an amazing time to be offering SSL. And as the browser community pushes HTTPS and awareness spreads, the onus again is on us to properly educate our customer base, segment them, and let them know, hey, you have a large swath of you will be fine with a DB certificate, but there are also trust benefits you can get from these more premium solutions. And of course, we're here to help you with this. For all of our active partners out there, we do send out monthly newsletters. I highly encourage you to read them. I see the open rate. I know some of you could do a better job at this. And I promise you there's some good stuff in there, so you definitely want to take some time in your day when we send those out to review them. Also, if you haven't checked out your profit portal in a while, I recommend doing that as well. We're constantly churning out new PDFs and educational materials about these industry changes and about how you can take advantage of them as a web service provider. If you haven't gone through the reseller launcher and you're a new partner of ours, I highly recommend it. Some great material in there and some white label material that you can take and launch these services to your customer base. And again, we do plan on this being the first in a series of webinars. The next one that we tentatively have planned is going to dive a little deeper in how to effectively market and position the different brands and types of certificates to your customers. So you'll want to attend those so you can hear Michael and I's amazing voices. And obviously you have a dedicated account manager. Feel free to reach out to your account manager for anything that you need at any time. They are here to help. And for any of our prospective partners out there, people that are attending that are maybe hearing about us for the first time, feel free to get in touch with Michael or myself directly. All of our contact information can be found via our website, which is www.thesslstore.com. And our email addresses are pretty easy. It's just our first name at thesslstore.com if you want to just shoot us an email directly. And with that, we will open it up for questions. We do have a question tab available for you in the webinar panel. Feel free to type anything in there that you'd like, and Michael will moderate, and we can maybe take the remaining. It looks like we got a few minutes left to answer any questions you might have. And it's looking like there are none. Michael, is that correct?
Yeah, we'll wait a minute. Maybe somebody's typing, maybe somebody's trying to think of a question asked.
Or if we've done such a good job explaining it, we'll certainly take it as a compliment as well. But looks like we've got one coming in here.
All right. Hold on 1 second here. So one other question is, how do we push OV cert?
So that's a very good question. So the question was, how do we push OV certs? So again, OV certs do represent the better and the good, better, best model of SSL. The main benefit of OV being that they come with dynamic site fields that display within them verified company information. So especially when it comes to Symantec OVs, for example, those site fields are the Norton brand. And the Norton brand is extremely popular and extremely trusted around the world, much more than any of the other CA brands out there. So if you have a customer that is maybe a little hesitant about paying full price for a Symantec EV, but still wants the Norton brand, an OV certificate is could be a very appealing option for them. But I will also say this about OV. If a customer can qualify for an OV certificate, they have a registered business and their information is up to date, they can probably get an EV certificate. And really, especially when you get down to the GeoTrust of the world or the thoughts of the world, the price difference really isn't that steep from jumping to an OV to an EV, and the bang for their buck will be much more significant, being that they display the company name next to the URL.
Great, thank you. We have another question. This is an interesting one. If the browser is pushing to HTTP
during the presentation, but I didn't. The CAs do have checks and balances in place to ensure that DB certificates do not go to these phishing domains. And the commercial CAs, the semantics of the world, do a very good job at catching these before they get issued out. However, stuff does fall through the cracks. And with some of these more, the free providers out there don't have as stringent a process for catching these phishing domains. So that's why you're seeing an increase of phishing domains with DVs arise. But at the same time, with some of these free providers, for example, Let's Encrypt certs are only good for 3 months. And so once that certificate expires and they go on Google's banned site list, that site won't be able to get a DV certificate again. So, these sites will not be active long with a DV certificate, but they are popping up more and more. They are taking advantage of the quick issuance, and we're of the mindset that it really only takes a week's worth of stolen identities and angry customers and confused people to breed a new generation of web users that are going to look for additional trust indicators, especially when dealing with e-commerce or sites where they have to create a username or password or something like that.
So here's another good question as a follow-up. How to increase opportunities and compete against raising free SSL certificates already such as Let's Encrypt?
So competing against Let's Encrypt. So we started off the presentation saying that there are 97% of web servers that currently are not encrypted. Suffice it to say, that's a humongous portion of the market that now will need an SSL certificate but never thought about SSL before. And it's going to take a combination of providers like ourselves, providers like Let's Encrypt, the Cloudflares of the world, WordPress of the world, to service this massive segment of the market that is currently unencrypted. So we're of the mindset that there's plenty of room in the sandbox for everybody. And really, as far as direct competition, there's really two things. The first of which is for the business community, for any of your websites that are e-commerce or do collect passwords, usernames, email addresses, want any sort of conversion or transaction. That's really where you want to start the conversation about, well, these free certificates don't offer the trust benefits that an OB or especially an EV certificate offers. And again, even when you talk about the basic DV space, there are still some things that could really be, that we've seen, are still very compelling and appealing for your end customers. For example, commercial DV certificates come with their own versions of site seals. They do have warranty protection. In the case of GeoTrust, those are clickable as well. And so, we still do think that there's compelling reason to compete against free providers like Let's Encrypt. And again, you're your customer's trusted SSL advisor. They will listen to you. So it's not about just pushing EV down everybody's throat. It's more about figuring out what is the best SSL solution for them. And a DV certificate, by and large, will work for most customers. But the onus is on us to emphasize that trust is a big component of SSL, and a website can add trust with a premium solution.
Great, thank you. It looks like we have time for one more question.
Okay.
So there's a couple out there, but we just have time for one more. So if we didn't get to your question, we'll follow up with you individually. And the question is, what is the normal time for DV to be issued using our service?
Excellent. So a question about EV issuance, everybody's favorite subject. So with us, we are actually Symantec's top partner in the world. We were their first security specialization partner. And I say that not in a braggy way, but I say that because it allows us to have what we like to think of are the red phone, secret phone lines to their top support agent. And the same is true with Komodo as well. So when an EV order is placed, especially within our reseller partner program, the traditional way that it's done is our reseller will contact their dedicated partner account manager, provide the order ID number, and then our team can go in and expedite that order on your behalf. Or a reseller can just jump on our live chat system and do this in real time. And it's hard to give an exact timetable because it all depends on the customer's response times and how up to date their information is. but we can typically get, I've seen EVs issued out that day here, but typically it shouldn't take longer than 1 to 2 days with our service.
Great. All right, well, we've reached the bottom of the hour here, so we're going to have to wrap it up. We want to thank you for attending this webinar. This was our first webinar in a series. We will have future webinars down the road. We think this is a great way to update our resellers on what's going on in the industry and provide you with information that will better equip you to be able to increase your own sales. So thank you for your time. Again, this has been recorded. For those questions that didn't get answered, we will follow up with you, and we'll wrap it up from there. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are in the world.